We shall overcome today. We shall overcome today. Hey y'all.
What's up, y'all?
I'm Elise.
And I'm Will.
And this is
Team
Tatum.
Team Tatum! Today we are reviewing 1967's In the Heat of the Night.
Not seeing the disgrace that was on the actual movie.
I don't remember. This is our first 1001 movies you must watch before you die for Black History Month. Woohoo!
Lift every voice and sing till let the head find a ring.
Oh, I should have done
We shall overcome today. We shall overcome today. Y'all don't know about that.
Later on. Anyway, this is starring none other than the late great Sidney Poitier.
Also, time out. Rest in peace to Carl Weathers.
Yeah, R.I.P. Carl Weathers.
Passed away today.
Way to bring the mood.
It's related to the movie.
Oh yeah, because he was in the TV show. So yeah, this is our second Sidney movie. First one was Defiant Ones, and it's kind of reminded me of that. I guess since he came through in a time where this was like
This was life.
this was life or whatever, like racism and dealing with like just ignorant people kind of deal. So this movie's kind of along that same vein as Defiant Ones. But anywho, so the synopsis is, and I'm gonna read it verbatim to make sure I don't mess it up. A black Philadelphia police detective is mistakenly suspected of a local murder while passing through a racially hostile Mississippi town, and after being cleared is reluctantly asked by the police chief to investigate the case. It's a terrible synopsis. I don't like it.
That's what happened.
I mean, it is what happened, but my synopsis is starts off in a small town down south. Cop runs up on a dead body. Probably the first murder there in like 30 years. And they don't know who did it. He's driving around. He sees a black man. Clearly, this black man is from out of town. He immediately arrests this guy because he's like, hey, you're black. You don't belong here.
They also just talked about it at the police station that it was probably a drifter that did it. Somebody that didn't live in town. And he was like, I know you don't live here. You guilty.
But yeah, just scooped him up real quick. Turned out he's also a cop, but just not from there. And then
he was
whatever.
reluctantly talked into solving the case, aka the synopsis.
I don't like the way it was written. That's the synopsis. So, backstory on The Heat of the Night. Both of us grew up with the TV show. And
one of us more than the other.
Yeah, one of us more than the other. And that one is this one over here.
This guy.
I pretty much stayed for the theme song and then bounced. Like, theme songs back in the day slapped no matter what. Like, I didn't watch Step by Step, but best believe I would sing that Step by Step theme song. Day by day. Like, it's fire. Any 90s and prior to theme song hits every time, whether the show was actually watchable or not.
Yeah. You saying that as though Step by Step wasn't watchable?
I didn't watch Step by Step. I'm just saying I didn't watch Step by Step.
It was a great show, actually.
It could have been. I just wasn't into it.
The girl's nickname was Al, and so my nickname was Al because my name was Alice. Yeah, I repronounced my name so I could have Al as my nickname.
Anywho, my mom and my aunts would watch In the Heat of the Night. They talked about it all the time. So I was aware of Virgil and Chief Gillespie and Bubba, but in terms of, and I knew it was in the South and that there was tension, there was racial tension, but other than that, like, I couldn't tell you a single other character's name. I knew Virgil was married. Can't tell you his wife's name. But yeah, that's my extent of The Heat of the Night. Yours?
Which one? The show.
The show.
Well, let me tell you, I watched it almost every day. Not at my grandma's house. There's a meme. It was like, if you watched In the Heat of the Night as a kid, you were raised by your grandma. I watched it at my own house. Thank you very much. My mama is older than other people's. Mama's my age.
So grandma's house.
It was my mama's house. Anyway, I watched it every day that I was available to watch it. Sometimes I'm in school, you know. It came on in the morning. And very well versed in the show. Knew a lot of the episodes. It had some greatest hits on there. The one where Althea got attacked by that man. Oh my god. She should have, well, I don't know if she did or not. I was about to say she should have won an Emmy for that performance, but maybe she did. I don't know. I wasn't into award shows and stuff as a child. I didn't even know they existed, probably. But anywho, I know it's about my In the Heat of the Night is the point of this story.
So this was different for me than it was for her, because again, I knew very little about In the Heat of the Night. So I was looking for Bubba for like half the movie before I figured out, I was like, Bubba's probably not in this. And that's about it. That's the only thing I was expecting was Bubba. I was like, where's Bubba? Because he's the third character that I knew. But yeah, for you, it was pretty much just like a different telling of it.
It's like the origin story, basically.
Yeah, because this is how they met or whatever, like how everything started.
It's like a pre-show pilot.
Right.
The pilot's pilot.
But yeah, so you got Virgil as the detective that they don't know is a detective. They just see a black guy in a town that pretty much doesn't have any black people, and they automatically accuse him of the murder. And once he clears his name just by being a cop, like basically, he don't got no alibi or nothing. He's just the fact that he's a cop. They start working together to solve the case, and the movie happens. So enough of that. We're gonna get into spoilers. So spoilers from here on out.
Warning, spoilers ahead.
The first interaction with Sydney, like, I get it, it's the 60s, but in the movie it's it's 67. Yeah. No, it's the 60s, and you in the South. So you don't want to do nothing to get you messed up. But he was just silent or whatever. Now maybe he was like in the back of his head, it's gonna be real funny when you find out I'm a cop, but he don't say nothing basically when he get arrested. And the chief, first let me back up. The dude playing the chief, Rob Steger, I don't know how to pronounce his name, I apologize. If he ain't Carol Burnett, Carol O'Connor. I said Carol Burnett. If he ain't Carol O'Connor, man,
they have to be related somehow.
That is great casting.
That was the best casting ever for the TV show, getting Carol O'Connor to play Chief Gillespie, because it might as well have been the same person.
Might as well have been the same person. It was crazy. When he's introduced, he is tearing up some gum. I ain't never seen nobody chew gum that hard ever. I mean, fast too. Like, he was going ham on it. And that was a directorial thing. Like, he wasn't gonna do it, but the director was like, chew some gum, and that was his take of it. Yeah, they just like, well, this dude dead. The guy that's dead is like an important figure in town. He's not from there, but he was bringing like new jobs. He was building a factory or something. And so they were like, man, we really got to find out who did this. They say that, but then they do the worst detective job ever.
Pretty much anybody that looked like they might be guilty, they were like, you did it.
You did.
You going down. Why you do it? Like, no kind of
no evidence, no investigation,
nothing. They saw you looked guilty, you're guilty, you're going to jail.
Like,
the end.
there could have been footprints leading from the crime, and they would see the first person and be like, you did it.
You got shoes. You must have walked over there and made those footprints.
But sir, I'm in a wheelchair. Doesn't matter. Like, they did not put any type of logic. Just whoever that saw the case. It was supposed to be open and shut case. So throughout the movie, I think they arrested like 3 people. And just adamant about them being guilty until surefire evidence and alibi was like, they're not guilty. And they would be like, oh, well. And just move on. One of the people that they arrested was a young Herschel from The Walking Dead. Very young, like super young. Once you see that it's him, like I looked later on IMDb and I was like, man, that's Herschel. Like I can see it now, but at the time he just looked so much younger. I mean, because he was. And yeah, I mean, they're awful, but it's not surprising because again, it's a small town. So again, this is like the first murder in decades, right? They probably deal out a whole bunch of parking tickets, some jaywalking here and there, maybe a domestic violence dispute.
I was like, they probably get some domestic violence in that town.
They probably just sweep it under the rug, like, maybe you should have cooked dinner. We wouldn't be having this problem. They seem like them type of cops, just horrible at their job. So when Sidney come in, when his character Virgil Tibbs comes in, he's like the best thing since sliced bread, but they won't give him no props because he's black. And he's not even going above and beyond. It ain't like he's Sherlock Holmes out here. He's just doing the minimum, looking at the scene of the crime, asking witnesses questions, basic police work. And, he ain't get no respect. And him and Gillespie have this weird relationship where it's like, I don't know. It was hard to explain. If I'm Sydney, I'm out. Like if I'm Tibbs, I'm not fooling with them, for real. Now I know my chief, like he calls his chief. Gillespie calls his chief and tells him, what happened, and the chief is like, you should help them solve this murder. And Tibbs is like, why? They don't even want my help. Like they barely want me in town. And I'd have just had to take some consequences when I got back to Philly because he's from Philly. But I would have not helped him at all. But yeah, him and Gillespie have this, like, we cool but we not cool. And 1 minute they're down each other's throats yelling, and the next minute they're just like, you.
Yeah, it's like Gillespie was racist, but didn't fully want to be racist almost. It's like he was racist because that was
the way of the time.
The way it was. But then after he got to know Tibbs and stuff, he was like, well, you're an alright Negro. Maybe I can treat you a little bit better. And it was a conflict within him, the whole movie, of trying to treat him equally, but also being stuck in his ways at the same time.
Yeah, like he would recognize his skill set, and he was like, man, we would have never done that. Like you could see him looking at him figure stuff out. And even when he took him to the morgue to look at the body and he had to leave, he told the morgue people who were being just as rude as everybody else, get his man anything he want, whatever he say, follow. But at the same time, it was like he couldn't give him full respect because he was black.
Yeah, and also the people at the morgue did not give him anything he needed. They're like, you want me to listen to this boy? This could be a drinking game.
Every time
watching
they say,
this
boy,
movie, every time they say, boy, take a drink, you would be out of
there. But yeah, so they wound up, solving the crime and whatnot. And at the very end, like towards the end, Gillespie and Tibbs have a falling out, but then like the next scene, like they're good again. And then at the very end, when Tibbs is finally leaving, they have this weird like buddy moment as he's getting on the train, and I was like, what's happening right now? I didn't like that part. And first, regardless of this, what we talking about right now, let's get to why Tibbs was in town. Tibbs said he was in town to see his mama.
Yeah.
He don't never go to he in this town for at least a day, multiple days in my book.
At least a week.
And we don't hear about his mama no more the rest of this movie. He stays with a random black family.
He went, he went to get a car so that he could get around while he was in town. Gillespie had a connection with this shop there, so they were just gonna get him one of the cars they were working on to drive around in. And when he was leaving, the repairman was like, "Hey brother, where you staying at?" He was like, "Oh, I'm just gonna get a hotel." He was like, "You staying here, because black people don't get hotels in this town." But it was like, you were literally here to visit your mama. Weren't you staying with her while you were here visiting her?
Maybe his mama was like in the next town, and he had like taken a bus or something to get to the town, to get to the train station.
In town to see his mama.
Yeah, you know.
He ain't say in the area.
Yeah, they don't ever talk about his mama no more. And I'm like, stay with her. Also, how is she? Like, what's anything about it?
You ain't gonna see her no more after?
Nothing.
Did you tell her that you left? Did you tell her you were still in town after all this time? Does she think you back in Philadelphia already?
Right.
What's going on?
It was like, what's going on? And this is like a small town. This is not like a huge town where he was like, my mom won't know. It's like, everybody know everybody. There's one diner. Like, that's the only place to eat. There is no, like, I have options to go eat. It's either you eating at the house or you eating at this diner.
Like, population had to be max 500.
That's
max.
That's way more than I give them credit for. I'd say there's like 100.
I give it more than 100.
No, there's like 100 people off in there. This is a small town, but I mean, it's what, 3 cops? It was 3 cops.
It was more than 3 cops.
Who else?
It was the man at the counter, Courtney, and then Gillespie, and then the 2 other guys that were in there whose name I never even heard, I don't think. Put them 2 fingers up. That's 4, which is more than 3.
Well, it's less than 10 officers in this whole place. I think a sheriff came through, like a county sheriff came through when they had arrested Herschel, because he had a brown uniform on. He didn't have a blue uniform that they had on. But yeah, anyway, that's it. We weren't trying to go play by play on it. Stuff happens.
Yeah.
You'll see if you watch the movie. It deals with racism. Of course, racist stuff is gonna happen to Virgil, and he's just trying to do his job.
It's a pretty decent whodunit. You can kind of tell who did it, but you can also kind of not tell who did it.
Yeah.
And then when you find out why they did it, it's like, man, you did not have to kill that man.
Right.
Well, you never have to kill somebody, but he did not have to kill that man.
Like, it's entertaining. So it's an entertaining movie, but it is baffling. And the sad part is that it's not that much different than 2024, even though this was made in '67. It's like the amount of non-caring about your police work is ridiculous in this movie, and how nonchalant they are with just trying to close the books out and not have this open murder is crazy. And I don't know, it's hard to talk about it and not talk about it, like, scene by scene.
But you would think that with it being such a high profile case that they would have tried to work harder on it, because this is one thing I'll say from the movie. The wife was still there. of the man that got killed, and she was like, either y'all solve this case, find out who killed my husband, or you can forget this factory. I'm packing up and we leaving. We going back to where we came from, and now your city is basically gonna be in bankruptcy. So they had a lot riding on solving the case, but instead of them trying to solve the case, they were just like, we just gotta hurry up and close this case,
right?
So that we can tell her we found who killed her husband. And even she was like, what? She literally was saying, what kind of place is this? What are y'all doing? She said, well, that was when she went into the whole thing about either you find out who did it or I'm leaving. And she was like, that you get that Negro man back here and work on this case now.
And they were like, ma'am, you want a Negro working on it? She was like, he
on
the only
this
person
side.
trying to solve it. I don't like it as much as you, but my husband did.
She did like him. She wasn't racist.
Well,
Negro
I mean,
was just the term then.
No, I mean, I know, but she was.
Because she was also from the North.
She was just like, he the only person here trying to do some work. The rest of y'all out here faking the funk. But in the movie, the infamous scene, which I knew about but didn't have any context for, is called the slap heard around the world. That was funny. It happened so quick. The movie had quite a few funny parts that weren't intentionally funny. So in addition to like being a riveting drama or whatever, like it had these comedic parts that we also enjoyed. We watched it on our recent camping trip to Lake Somerville.
It's Somerville Lake Somerville State Park. Why it's not Somerville Lake State Park, or why isn't the Lake Somerville? I don't know, but it's Somerville Lake Somerville State Park. That's where we were. The Nels Creek unit. If slight one moment, please. If you are gonna go to this park, know that there are more than one park inside of the state park. This is the movie that we watched on that camping trip.
Anyway, y'all want to know whether or not this movie is worth being on this list, so we're gonna talk about it. What would you say about In the Heat of the Night? Oh no, you can go on your rant about the theme.
Oh yes. Well, I did a little bit at the beginning, but the TV show theme song blows the movie theme song out of the water. It is a dry basin. Dry all the way out the water. And the most sad / surprising part is that Ray Charles himself did the song for the movie, and it sounds like, I told William, it sounds like he was just making up the song as he was going along, which he has been known to do before, so he might have been making it up as he was singing it and they were recording it, because no, the TV show, I ain't done yet, I ain't finished. The TV show version is way better, and it ain't because of no nostalgia or anything like that. That is a better song. After you watch this review, we can't put it on here because we're going to get copyright infringement. Look up the theme song to In the Heat of the Night movie and then look up the In the Heat of the Night show theme song, and you judge for yourself which one is better.
Write in the comments which one is better. Now, to her defense, what she's saying is true about the TV show. The TV show slaps, bangers all day. Ray did just fine. The problem is, no matter how good, like he didn't do great. Don't get me wrong. He did a good job. Like it's just that once the TV show did its rendition, it just blew his out the water.
They could have. His rendition could have been the TV show rendition.
But they, for whatever reason, they redid
great.
it though.
No, I'm saying his could have been that great. And he just didn't try.
No, he didn't. He
didn't
did
give
his
it his
best.
Ray Charles all.
He did his best. Now maybe I'm biased because I love Ray.
I love Ray, and that's why I know he didn't do his best.
He did good. I mean, like you act like he got washed.
He did.
No, he
That's
got
what
beat.
you're talking about.
He got beat. He didn't get
exactly
washed.
what I'm
you
saying.
act like he got
He
Dolly
sound
Parton.
Like he was laying in the bed. He did.
No, Dolly Parton's
He
version.
sound like he was laying in the bed.
I Will Always Love You.
In the heat
Sorry,
of
darling.
the
It
night.
is not good. It is. I like Dolly. She cool. When I found out that
If
she
you
was the
never heard
original,
the Whitney Houston version, you might have thought it was
nah,
good.
I would not. But Whitney legitimately washed Dolly.
As did In the Heat of the
No,
Night TV show.
no, it did not. It didn't wash him. It did it better, night and day better. Like clearly they get the gold medal, and he don't.
Put in the comments whether you think he got washed or not.
Whose side are you on? Me or Elise? Anyway, we'll get into this rating. How do you feel about this?
I do think that it should be on the list just for the slap. First time a black man stood up for himself in a movie, basically, during this time period. And didn't back down at all. I was very proud of him. But I do think it deserves to be on it. It is a classic. And it was another, like, black person, white person pairing, having to get over their differences to work together like the Defiant Ones. And yeah, it was a classic. Do you think it deserves to be on it?
I don't. Though I enjoyed it, I don't think I have to see this. Like, it didn't change me in any kind of way. Like, I didn't feel a type of way about it. And I talked about it in one of the other reviews. I can't remember which one. One of the recent ones. Where I was like, just because it's a good movie doesn't mean you have to. Like, if for me to be on a list, it's got to be like the first of its kind. It's got to do stuff that other movies would eventually follow. Like, they were the first to do it. It's got to have some super great performances, like Oscar-worthy performances in it. Everybody did good, but I wouldn't get nobody an Oscar in this movie.
It actually was Oscar-worthy.
Not for me. I don't care
Not
what
the actual Oscar.
I don't care what the Academy say.
What?
They
got to be an Oscar-worthy thing. It was not my Oscar.
Now you can hate me because I'm saying it's about Sydney. You know, I got respect for the man, but he was Sydney. That was it. So that's why I don't think it should be on the list. You should still watch it. I would still recommend you watch it. But if you say you're not, I'm like, okay, all right. I'm not gonna fight you over it. But the movies where I say should be on the list, I'm like, man, you should see this movie. And this is just not that great. It's good. You'll enjoy it, probably. I did, but just wouldn't put it on the list. I'm ranting. Anyway, rating.
His brother said, I do think you should watch it, but I don't want it to be on a list of movies you should watch, though.
No, I said I'm not gonna fight you about it. Like, there's movies I think should be on the list. Like, yo, you should. I'm gonna argue with you that you should see it. But if you're just like, I'm not gonna see it, I'm just like, okay, all right, whatever. and I move on. That's what I meant.
Mm-hmm. I rate In the Heat of the Night, the film, 3 cowboy ninjas out of 5. And yourself?
I also rated 3 cowboy ninjas out of 5.
Cool. Well,
That's been our discussion about In the Heat of the Night.
some heat in this night. It is hot in this room. But thank y'all if you made it this far. A lot of things are going to get cut out of this video. Thank you for watching this review. If you made it this far, we greatly appreciate it. If you like this video, please give it a huge thumbs up and share it with your friends and family so that they can also enjoy this. And if it's someone that you think should watch this movie, share it with them as well. If you have not yet, please subscribe to our channel. We are very close to 100. Who knows? Maybe when we get to 100 subscribers, something's gonna happen. I don't know what, but maybe it will.
Probably not.
You don't know. But anywho, thank you for watching. It's been a great night. We'll see you on the next one. I was about to say something, but I don't know the answer to that. This has been another episode of
Team Tatum!